Pierre, or Cardell, Dante Whitner, Ted Jr. So let me start with the one that maybe you and I spent the most time working on. Who was that?
Troy Smith.
Troy Smith. Oh, what a shot. Hey, teammates, welcome to another episode of It's All About the Team, and one of my favorite people in the entire world, like a brother to me, we're lucky to have today. Please welcome state champion football coach, state champion track coach, Ted Ginn Sr.
That's the only game I ever lost in the city in '97. I've never lost a regular season game since.
Ancient history to them is last week's Sports Center.
If you can't run, you can't play.
What do you have, 350 students now?
Yes. Well,
90% graduation rate? I mean, crazy success.
Yes, I always tell you, my quote is, if God ain't in it, you can't win it.
My favorite win is seeing the joy of the entire Buckeye Nation.
You know, I'm like an old dinosaur faking it. Yeah, thanks for having me, Tress. Boy, it's good to see you.
I tell you what, we had many great days together.
Absolutely, man.
And with the one goal in mind, to help the children.
That's it.
You know, and that's everyone asks you. I was on with a young man who wants to go into coaching just today. He asked to do a Zoom. He was from Baldwin Wallace, my alma mater,
right.
The Harvard of the Midwest.
That's good.
And he talked about, well, why did you want to go into coaching? And I said, because I saw my dad, how he helped people, and he looked like he was having a blast doing it, and I wanted to do that. And now we've had a chance to do that together for decades and decades. And
that's right.
So what we'd like to do when we have these It's All About the Team podcasts is think about the lessons we've learned in building teams and helping people and serving and making a difference. And I always like to take people on a little journey back through time, okay? And get the viewers and the listeners to learn a little bit about our guests, that everyone thinks famous people, you just woke up and there was a state championship.
Right.
And there was nothing, right? There was nothing before that. So, as I recall, did you grow up in Louisiana?
Absolutely. I stayed in a little town called Franklin, Louisiana. I was born in Bogalusa, Louisiana. So I come out of cotton field. I was raised up on a farm.
So if you think back to that, what were some of the first things you learned about being a part of a team?
Well, first of all, when you raise up on a farm, you have to be a part of a team. You know, you had to do the chores, and I was part of the team because your grandfather and your grandmother would sit you down at the table, and they say, well, these are things you have to do. You have to raise the things that you need to live off of. So you had to be part of the team. And, you know, I still use some of those concepts today.
And, you know, you were proud to be a part of that team.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, my grandpa was a farmer, too.
Right.
Out in Northwest Ohio. And the greatest times of our lives were when we got to go to the farm, Grandpa and Grandma's farm, and my mom and dad, there were 3 boys. I was the youngest, and they would send us 1 week at a time to get rid of us in the summer.
Right.
And you had a week's worth of chores.
Chores.
Because my parents didn't have a farm, so they wanted us to learn what they learned on the farm, right?
That's right.
And I remember being so proud when I'd be done with my week. One year, my chore was to clean the chicken coop that hadn't been cleaned for 50 years.
Yeah.
And when I walked in and they would get the eggs each day, by the time I was done cleaning it, you couldn't even reach the ceiling. There was 50 years worth of, I remember smelling the ammonia, but I was so proud of
no doubt
being a part of that team. And you know, that's the thing we always reminded our coaches is, don't keep our young people from having that thrill of the hard work and the responsibility of cleaning the chicken coop.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So when did you guys come north?
Well, I came north.
Okay.
I came north, but my mother and father was already here, but they was divorced, and I was staying with my grandparents.
Okay.
And the summer of '65, I think, I came up to Cleveland. My father sent for me to come here like a visit. You know how your old people are, going up there, maybe they got something for you. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother, my grandma loved me and the Lord. That was her whole thing. And my grandmother influenced me to come to Cleveland. My mother was here. I came back and forth, but never wanted to stay here. But that's how I got to Cleveland. So my father sent for me, and I stayed up here the whole summer. But I'm a country boy, man. I like to run out the back door, get me some salt and pepper, put in my back pocket, pull me a tomato out the garden, and keep running through the woods. So, but my grandmother encouraged me to come here. And when I came, I stayed the summer. And then I went back. I didn't see my mother but one time. And when I went back, about a couple of weeks later or 3 weeks later, we got a letter in the mail saying that my father was fighting for custody for me.
Oh.
You understand? And taking it from my mom. It broke my grandmother's heart. Yep. So I said, I don't want to live with none of them, but I had to. So I went to court and that kind of stuff at 11 years old. And that's how I ended up in Cleveland. But the challenge of that, it broke my grandmother's heart.
Yep.
And she didn't last a year.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's how I got to Cleveland. I didn't come to Cleveland because I wanted to.
She lost a big part of her team.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah. And that team, and when you talk about that, Tress, my mother, I saw my grandmother died with a broken heart. Then 8 years later, I saw my mother die from a broken heart because she never got over her mother. It was all based on me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, that's how I got to Cleveland.
So everyone in Cleveland and really all over the country knows about Coach Ginn, the great coach, the championships, son who was outstanding player, all that. And so often I think people just woke up one day and had those accolades.
Yeah.
Take our listeners through. You arrive in Cleveland, you're 11 or 12 years old.
Hey.
What happened in between there and you being the head coach at Glenville?
Ooh, man.
And what lessons of team did you learn during that period?
Well, let me first go back to the South.
Okay.
Okay. Back in the 60s, it was all about team. It was about we was from the country, but I can remember as a kid, and I loved football, but I was a kid. So I used to go to the football games, and we'd have our games on the side. So we had a lot of people like Papa and Baby Jenkins. These were the older people that I would model myself after, right? Mm-hmm. But they was known, in the little country towns, they known for football, right? So at recess, as in the sixth grade or fifth grade, I would put my team together.
That was your first coaching job.
Man, come on, man. I never knew that I would be like I am today. So I call it milk carton football. Okay, so at lunch, we would go in the lunchroom, and then I'd get all the guys, y'all get a milk carton, because we couldn't afford the football. And this was in the South. Mm-hmm. And we would play football in the playground, man. And once we tear up the ball, because, you got a rock in there, then we'd just switch and put the rock in another. That was my first part of team. And I ran it all, You were
a natural.
A natural.
Yep.
And it was milk carton football.
Wow.
But when I came to Cleveland, like I was saying before, with my mother passing, and I was 19, Coach Hub, which was my coach, right? He and this was the way that coaches was back then. I had to go back to Louisiana to bury my mother. I was 19, so Coach Hub said, "Hey, boy, you know how you talk. Come down here. I want you to show that boy how to snap the ball." So, we obeyed. So I come down to Glenville, show the boy how to snap the ball, then I leave. Right? He said, "I'll see you tomorrow." I come back. Now I'm working in industry. I come back, show the boy how to snap the ball. The third day, he said, "Now I want you to clean up the bathroom." I said, "Clean the bathroom? Don't you know I got a job and I got to do this?" He said, "I want you to clean up the bathroom." to the bathroom. As the time went on, I figured it out. That was his way of showing me that I'm going to keep you close because you're by yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
And I started, he said, now, go over there and show that boy how to snap the ball. That's how I got into coaching.
Wow.
I didn't want to coach, but he used that of keeping me close so that I don't go astray. And then I saw the fact that I volunteered from 1976 to 1986, 10 years.
Volunteer the whole time?
Volunteer, whole time.
Wow.
You know, and he kept me involved, and I saw the impact that I had on children, that I didn't want to live like I lived. And it was all part of being a part of the team, but it saved my life. It was a mentor to me.
He wanted you to see the potential impact, and he couldn't pay you.
Couldn't pay me.
So, but you listened.
Yes.
And then you saw as you went along, like, hey, and that's a great lesson for our listeners and viewers. Your volunteers are as crucial a part of your team as anybody. I mean, think about in your program, how many people you have working for nothing.
Oh, I got about 10.
Yeah. And they change lives.
They change lives. But you can't be there if you can't be a part of the team if you're not in it from your heart.
Right.
You know, and like I always tell you, my quote is, if God ain't in it, you can't win it.
Yep.
You know, and that's just how it go. You know,
So from 76 to 86, you volunteered.
I volunteered.
And then after 86,
you know, 97, in 86, I became a paid coach.
paid assistant coach.
Right.
Okay.
And then from 86 to 97, I became the head coach.
So when you became a paid coach, then you were working in the school.
Absolutely. I was security guard.
Right. And that's where you
Oh, yeah. So
you were the head recruiter.
head recruiter.
Right.
Well, I did things in 97 that I seen that was not done. You know, I started my team by, you know, first of all, they had to report to me every day. And when they report to me, I would take the attendance to the office. So if they didn't come to school, I would go and get them. I'd get in the car and go. I either call their house.
Yep.
So I became the link between the school and the home, which that's how I was trying to build my team.
Yep.
Then I had a principal, Jackie Bell and all those people, that allowed me to take my team and build a school in the basement of Glenville. I said, I need somebody that can understand these children and give them the right understanding. So I was running a school inside of Glenville as a security officer and their football coach.
So the Ginn Academy wasn't the first school you developed, right?
No.
Wow.
In that basement that you used to come down.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Where my office was the bathroom.
Right. Right.
You know, but I started my team there.
But think about all the people like Jackie Bell, the principal, that had to be a critical part of the team and allow you to help those kids, right. All those volunteers. I mean, every time we came to your school, there was someone there helping.
Absolutely.
That was not on the payroll.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And how did the teachers become a part of that team once they recognized how you were helping those kids?
Right. So when I started talking to the teachers, I talked to Mr. Horton, was the head principal, Miss Jackie Bell was there. I say the teachers had to buy. You know, if the teachers buy into it, we can win. But it was not just only it was the teachers, it was the custodian.
Yeah.
It was everybody. We bought into the concept of raising kids because we want to make sure that they're getting the proper understanding. In education today, we have to make sure that we're giving them the right ingredients in how to live. So you got to fight against the outside world. You got to fight against the noise that's outside. But at Glenville, back then, it was something new to them. They say, it's magical. No, it's right. And, you know, I just kept fighting with everybody. I would get with the counselors. I started The first thing I started, though, Tress, was this. When I became the head coach, was FCA. That was the foundation
Yep.
of my program.
Fellowship of Christian Athletes. In fact, I remember meeting you at a camp in Erie.
Absolutely.
Now, early in your tenure as a head coach, that was probably when
97.
it was somewhere in there because I was still at Youngstown.
Yeah, but in the 80s, I went, but I wasn't the head man.
Okay, well maybe I
Yeah.
can't remember what
Yeah.
year I first.
But that was when you saw me in Erie, that had to be like 99,
Okay,
2000.
okay,
And I had busloads. I was just pulling kids off the street,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and show them that someone cared about them,
That's right.
and then show them something bigger than themselves.
Absolutely.
Right.
They thought they was going to play football, but when they get there, they get a Bible and a T-shirt. And they go, man, I got to get out of here. I said, how you going to get home? We way out here.
Right.
So, we break them down. I mean, it's all part of raising, all part of building a team, all part of, and I think that's what's missing in the world today. Your community was a team.
Yeah,
The families was a team. We had block watch. Nobody's doing that today.
yeah,
And the times are different.
yeah.
And team is so important, and we're just not working at it.
Well, the importance of having everybody
Everybody.
involved, and
Yeah.
that's people have their favorite teams, and they think that's something separate. But a team is just such a large. People asked all the time, "What was your favorite win at Ohio State or whatever?" I said that my favorite win is seeing the joy of the entire Buckeye Nation
That's right.
and knowing that they're a part of it. And so is the marching band, and so is the faculty, and so is the staff, and so are all the alumni. And it isn't just this group of kids and those coaches and people talk all the time now about, well, it's different now. There's so much noise and distraction in the social media and all that. Okay, but go back to Glenville in 1997. There was lots of noise.
Yeah.
You know.
But you have to fight. That's how you build your team, though.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? See, I talk about you got to stay in the pack. If you ever watch buffaloes, the wild buffaloes, you go on the TV.
Sure.
They stay in a pack.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Now, if somebody get outside of that pack, that's getting outside the team.
Yeah.
You understand? Guess what's waiting out there? It's the lions. You understand? They laying in
They're waiting for someone to leave the pack.
Yeah, they want you to get out there.
Yeah.
So, and I've done this with my team. I said, stay alert, and don't be lying dessert. You understand? Because the lions cover blends in with the grass, and they laying and waiting. So if you don't want to be a part of the team and get outside, you're gonna be dessert for the lions. And I do that now with my team, and I show them a video. If you go on TV and you see that stuff, you'll see it.
Right.
The lions, the buffaloes is walking up, and the lions is laying lurking, and they see them, and everybody start running.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But the head of the water buffaloes get them all back together,
Yep.
the whole team. And see, a lion have pearl vision. He won't attack nothing this big. You understand?
Yep.
And so when you in a
Large group. Yep.
he won't attack it.
But if you think about sports and its evolution since we've been a part of it, no one ventured off. No one worried about who got the trophy.
That's right.
Or who got the most notoriety. It was about how did Berea High do?
Yeah.
How did Glenville do? How did we do?
That's right.
Somewhere along the lines, we've allowed, because we used to always tell our coaches and our players, what you see in the behavior, you either taught them that
or you
allowed it, right?
That's right.
And I think we've allowed individuality to permeate sport sport has a big impact on society.
Absolutely.
And so it sure doesn't help society as they watch sport. You know, I get goofy every time I'm watching those games now and see the celebrations after the touchdowns and this and that.
Can't
because
stand it.
our rule was,
Yeah.
when you score a touchdown, everybody comes together like the water buffaloes.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And congratulate one another because it took all 11 for that play to happen, right?
That's right.
Now I think we've allowed the media, who wants to highlight that silliness, using us, sports, to create this celebration that, I mean, we designed the play to get in the end zone.
Yes, right.
We designed the play to have the interception. Why do you think this is so unusual? We should congratulate one another.
That's right.
And go on to the next play.
Yeah.
But we've let the water buffalo wander off a little bit.
Yep. And that's the one that get attacked.
That's right. That's right.
Know? So, this when you talk about celebration, my son knew when he played here in the national championship, that celebration almost cost him his career.
No, I know, right.
You know what I'm saying? And we talk about that today.
Yep.
And I can't stand celebration.
Yeah, it's singling me out.
Yeah.
Although I will say, in fairness to that celebration, when Teddy got hurt, it was all the guys coming to him,
right,
and all the guys coming together. They were just fools. They jumped on top of of Teddy. But it's so. I know track and track teams were a big part of you growing the football program.
Absolutely.
How is it different building a track team, or what does a track team, which is a little bit of an individual sport in some ways, although we have the team score, talk through the evolution? Because you were state track champs before you were state football champs.
Absolutely.
So talk through how track became a big part of team building.
Well, I think let's do it like that. You train so hard in track and field every day, to run 10 seconds,
A minute. Yep. Right.
minute 50.
Yep.
To run a 49, 46 quarter, but you got to train so hard. The difference in that is that psychologically, it turns boys into men, or they'll never ever make it. The mentality,
the difficulty of the training. Yeah.
The training, it breaks you down to the lowest term. And the average person can't get out of it. That's just the mental part of it, and it makes you physically and mentally tough. The next thing is you willing to sacrifice that hard work to run 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And in my game, I use it. If you can't run, you can't play.
Yeah.
But it builds team though, because only the strong gonna survive.
Yeah.
The weak gonna get to the side, and it goes it's so good with football because it helps you with the mental toughness, and then the speed that you can is just unbelievable.
Well, we always wanted a track kid over a weight room kid.
Absolutely.
Because a track kid is lining up and seeing if someone's faster than me. You talk about the mano-a-mano, for kids that play the game of football, so who can run faster, and who's willing to compete, and who might not be the star in track, but they're willing to be on the 4x4, and train to run that.
Yeah. You got to put in miles and 800s,
right,
distance to be able to run a 400. And you get kids come out and say, "Well, I'm a sprinter." No, you're just a track runner. Everybody running 6 miles today. Everybody running 800. You're a runner, and I think that track makes everything, mentally. In football, it's a physical sport. It's contact. But track will help you in all that, with that physical running every day, running fartleks and miles and hills and all that kind of stuff. And when you get on the football field, it's like nothing.
Right.
I watch kids every day in the NFL. They can't run. They quick,
Yeah.
but they can't run.
Yeah.
You understand? When you looked at Ted looked like he's not even moving.
Right.
Well, why you don't show no effort? But you can't catch him. You know, so you got a guy that's quick. Oh, he's fast. No, he's not. He's just quick.
Well, and he never decelerated. That's
No.
what killed me about him.
Yeah.
He would get to top end fast, but never slow down.
No. Well, that's the key. See, anytime, if me and you get in the blocks and we run the 100, right, we're going to come out at the same time.
Right.
You understand? But see, who can hold it?
Right. Who can hold it? Yep.
That's right. And so Ted was a closer. You know, he could hold it, he can come out, but he could hold it, and he going to close on you. So you never really seen him run the 100 because he going to be late. Because he coming later on. You know, he'll run 10.5, but, you know, he's not going to ever run 10.1 or nothing like that because we put him in the 200 or 400, it's over. So if you don't catch him out the gate,
Right. It's over.
he gone,
Right.
you know.
So if you had to tell the viewers what were the key things outside of track of building the football program at Glenville, to build that team, knowing that there was lots of noise and lots of distractions and you had to go get them from home and all the rest, what would be the key components of building that program?
Well, first I'm going to always tell you this, Trish, with the FCA.
FCA.
You know, give them a spiritual base. To understand that you're not, your strengths don't lie in you. It's a higher power. And I saw things that was not done, you know, in the inner city, in Cleveland, in Glenville. You know, there's a lot of diamonds, man, you know, and people just walked over it. So I had to change their expectation of who you are.
Right.
I had to build the character. I had to do all that kind of stuff and give them the right information because I had a problem with why everybody goes to these other schools and don't come here. You know what I'm saying? We wasn't getting the right understanding. We wasn't getting the proper understanding because people just looked at us as inner city kids, you know. Then they wasn't hearing nothing. There wasn't nobody showing them nothing, you know. So I had to build that vision, you know, with a spiritual base. You know what I'm saying? So I studied my first year. I looked at, you know, when I became the head coach, I looked at it. I say, I would play teams. I would jump out on them like Elyria back then. Elyria was tough.
Yeah, yeah.
I might score the first touchdown or be up 14-0. Shoot, by about second quarter, I'm down 21-14, you know. So I studied my film. We had our nutrition, our strength. We couldn't finish. So I had to deal with that. You know, I had to deal with selling them the idea, give them a spiritual base. Then I looked at the strength and nutrition. The second thing is, now how do I get that done? The second year I said, let's come to practice at 6:00 in the morning. See who all come.
Test them.
I looked up, everybody, I didn't have about 35, 40 kids. They believed it. But that base of FCA and the nutrition and stuff like that, that's what I had to do first. And then give them the proper understanding, then show them that I care. You understand?
Yep.
You know, and then selling the idea, you're not who they think you are. You're somebody. So I had to do all that. I had to come up with that type of scheme first. Then when I told you about the school, the counselors, the teachers, I had to settle. I had to get the custodian on the team. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
All that was part of getting it all started. So it was something new, something that nobody never even thought of. But where did I learn that from? Things that I saw before when I wasn't a head coach.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Paid attention.
I paid attention and give them what they needed
Right.
that wasn't given to us. That's the same way I run the school. The same way. You know?
How long did it take to get people to have that understanding?
1 year.
1 year. Wow.
97, I think I was in the city championship my first year. I lost. That's the only game I ever lost in the city in 97. And it was a championship game. I've never lost a regular season game since.
Wow.
But I sat down, and when I studied, then I brought the little core group of kids in.
Yep.
And then I went over that with them, the academic side, the football side, the nutritional side, the spiritual side.
Yep.
And that's it. It took me 1 year. Then the next year, 98, we won 10 games and lost one. Nobody had never won 10 games in the city of Cleveland since 1954, and that was Rhodes. So we made history right there, you know.
Wow. So helping them understand you cared about them, the spiritual growth, I know helping them get connected with churches. I know you have had experience of building those teams in churches.
Yep.
And so for some of our viewers and listeners might be a part of a church. What are some key things do you think, because every team has dysfunctions at times and every team can get better. Churches are no different.
Right.
Businesses,
Right.
families,
Right.
whatever. Give us some thoughts of your experiences of how you build that team in a church.
Well, it's fortunately I'm in the same church. And right now I have a older congregation. So I was raised in the church, and all I know in the church is that the church was named after my grandmother. It started on the back porch of our in the South. It's Lear here, Church of God in Christ. My mother was Lear. My grandmother was Lear. The church still stands. So as a child, I don't know nothing but church. I was born and raised, and everything I did was a sin as a little boy. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know nothing but that. I stayed in a community where the church was our community. Everybody went to the same church.
Right.
That's the reason I'm saying when you talk about how do you build it, well, I was raised in it.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's last name meant something in our community. Okay? And everybody went to the church.
Yeah.
So the church was automatically built as a team. You know? So we all stayed in the South. The Wilsons was known for dairy. The Harveys was known for cucumbers. It was twins. One was little boy, one was Biggie. One was cucumbers, one was sugar cane. The Reddicks was known for peanuts. We all stayed in the same area. Today, if this community that I raised up in would be like Beechwood, because everybody's name meant something. You knew what it was. The McGee's was putwood haulers. They go cut trees and different things down. You know, my family was the Burtons. We had the neighborhood grocery store. A little bit before our time in the 60s. But it all was, and we all went to the same church. So it was built like that. I was born and raised in it, and I still go by those same values,
Right.
you know, that I was taught by my grandparents.
Hey teammates, I want to tell you about a project we're working on with Youngstown State University. One of the ways Ellen and I have decided to give back is through the Trestle Institute for Leadership and Teamwork. We've collected a set of successful business and nonprofit leaders to serve as guest servant leaders in partnership with the Sokolov Honors College to teach university students teamwork, leadership, and personal skills. We teach from a foundation built on gratitude, excellence, hope, love, and selflessness. If you're a young person or parent helping to search for a unique college experience, you can learn more at trestleinstitute.ysu.edu or ysu.edu. Links will be provided in the show notes.
And everyone's important. Everyone had their specialty.
That's right.
Everyone came together,
Yeah.
and it was bigger than one individual.
That's right.
And that's probably, to me, one of the greatest lessons you can learn being a part of group activity. I don't
Right.
care if it's the marching band.
That's right.
I don't care if it's the Baja race team, or the football team.
With it.
Understand that it's bigger than what it brings
that's
to
right.
you, and that's, to me, the most valuable lesson we can all learn, because if we'll do that, we'll appreciate everybody else.
That's right.
And so you had the school in the basement, and then all of a sudden, what year did you come up with the thing, you know what, I'd like to create an academy for boys with high expectations, high standards of excellence that you seek. What year did you start the concept of Ginn Academy?
Well, it started, I tried to do it in 2006 with the superintendent. I was going to go charter. And if you remember back then,
I do, yeah.
You know, we talked about white hat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had an opportunity. I went and talked with him. Then I went and see, this is more things that people don't realize. I went and talked to Buchtel.
Akron Buchtel?
Yes. And the superintendent and the mayor was going to allow me to come in Buchtel and bring that concept, you know. So in the city of Cleveland, the CEO knew that I was going to do that, so they stopped me and said, no, we're gonna
Work with you.
work with you, right? 2006, had me in the paper, this, that, and the other. After a while, they went dead. I said, but they stopped me because, you know, Ted was rolling. I was rolling, man.
Yep.
I had kids. I had them buying in, you know, academically, athletically, socially, and it was rolling, you know.
Yep.
Ted was doing their thing, you know, and I had proof. I had receipts. You could see it.
Yep.
But I need this. Then I thought it wasn't fair. That's when I wanted to school, because there's other children not getting the right information and getting the right education.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
opportunity.
Opportunity
Yep.
to make it, because we're getting the wrong information. So 2007, we got the new CEO, Dr. Sanders. I didn't ask nobody. I just showed up. I showed up at his door, knocked on the door, and said, you know, I got an idea. He let me in. He said, man, how did you get here? You didn't have an appointment. You didn't have nothing. I said, man, I got this idea. I said, back in 2006, the superintendent told me, you know, they was going to work with me, but some kind of way I fell off in Lake Erie. You know what I'm saying? So now I just wanted to make sure that I come and give you this idea, since you knew this, that, and the other. He said, well, okay, it sounds good. He said, but I can't do nothing about what didn't happen before I got here.
Right.
So he said, I'm going to start these new and innovative schools. So he said, you'll be one of the first one. You know, that means that if you got an idea and there's somebody that got an idea, and we'll try to do it. So I was the first one to start the new and innovative schools, and he bought it. Now, he got some flack. You know, what you talk about, a security guard has no degree, haven't been to college, haven't did nothing, but I got an idea, I got some equity sweat, you know, in this. So he bought it, and then I told him about this, open enrollment. You know, I said, if we don't do nothing different, we're going to be dormant. We're going to be dormant in the city. We're going to be dormant on the east side. He bought that. So we went from municipal to metropolitan. So I was part of that. A lot of people probably don't know that, you know, but behind the scenes, you know.
So how did you build the team? I mean, you had the idea, and then how did you build the team that got this rolling? What do you have, 350 students now?
Yes. Well,
90% graduation rate?
rate.
I mean, crazy success.
Yes.
Forget the sports. Everyone knows about the sports
That's
stuff,
right.
but I'm talking about how did you know who needed to be a part of that team?
Well, it's through interviews. So I do everything in the school that I basically did in football to build that team. So I had to interview people that's willing to come here for this concept. You know, we're not teachers, we coaches. You know what I'm saying? We're not talking about being the principal. We coaches, we the leader of the coaches, we coaches. You had to step out of the box. The union book didn't count here. So we don't go by the union. So when I talked to the superintendent, I said, I really want to have a school that we can use union people, but I got to work off of MOU. You understand? We got to work differently. We know it's not what comes in the book. If you choose to come to Ginn Academy, you got to follow these rules.
Yeah.
And that's how I started that. So I interviewed teachers and even the kids. You know, I interview every kid, every parent. If you want to come here, this is how I go. So I did everything at school that I did on the football team.
Right.
You know, we walk you to class. You wear a shirt and tie. You had to. At first, I done slipped a little bit, but you only had to have one type of haircut. You know what I'm saying? You know, we take your cell phone. This was back in 2007. You know, we got different rules. You know, everything that stops production in a school, I put something there.
Right.
You know, no hall walkers, no passes.
No, I remember that they would. Someone asked for a pass. We don't have passes.
No.
Because no one can walk in the hall.
No passes, right?
No passes.
No, it's a no-fail situation. Ginn Academy is a transitional school. We transition you into life.
Yeah.
So whatever it takes for each individual, you give it to them, and you got to be willing to step out of the box. You know, and like I tell teachers, sometimes you know you have that struggle. When a kid come into your classroom, that's your world. Okay, it's your job to teach him how to live in your world. You can't beat them down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about their world. What if they took you to their world?
Right.
Their world might be totally different. He got to walk past boarded up homes. He might be living by candlelight.
Yep.
You know, nothing in his refrigerator. Not everybody, but their world is different.
Yep.
So if they treated you differently in their world, let me see you go to the football field. Their world might be in between the lines. You understand? And they tripping you and pushing you and don't teach you. Well, it's the same thing here. You know, in high school, we have these things when kids do things. You know, the first thing a teacher gonna come to you and say, well, I don't think he need to play football Friday. You know, I don't like that.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I say, do you think that this young man acts any different in your classroom than he do on the field? No, he say damn on the field. He'll say damn in your classroom. You understand? I said, but I don't come to you and tell you, don't you teach him English because he said damn on the football field.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I broke up all those old concepts, you know, of teaching and punishing and referrals. I don't want no referral. You send them home. You suspend them. Okay. Did you fix the problem?
Right.
He come right back with it.
We just had one of our guests was Dr. Jennifer Merritt from the Mahoning Valley Community School, and I feel like I'm having the similar conversation. You know, why would I send them home? I want them here to fix the problem.
That's right. They'll rather go home when they come here instead of stand up in this corner and I'm going to talk them to death and make them understand.
Yep.
That's not giving the proper understanding,
Yep.
you know. And then, you know, you can imagine this. This is funny, though. When I first started, you know, you have professional development and PD and stuff like that.
Sure.
I did my own. Then people looking at me like, who is this?
Right.
I have a degree. I got masters. I got all this. He has nothing. He's a security guard, right?
Right.
But I'm gonna do my own PD. So I gave them my subject was the bluegill syndrome, you know, and they look at the first thing I start off. I say, how many people fishermen who want to know how to fish? People raise their hand, you know. I say, well, I come from the South, and in the South, I come from swampland, you know, Louisiana, and the water and swamps and gravel pits and stuff alligators, you know. Right. So, and I'm a fisherman as a little boy, but you just couldn't go to stick a pole in the water and think that you know what's in the water. I say, this is why I say a lot of you all have bluegill syndrome. I say, I had to, it's nothing but assessment, really, this is what I'm telling you. I say, you leave home, you going fishing, you come to Ginn Academy, and you got this big catfish hook on your pole, okay? And on that, you say, I'm gonna catch me a big catfish today, right? Soon as you bait up your pole and you put the little red and white bobber on, you throw it in the water, as soon as it hit the water, it start doing like this. You sitting there waiting for it, you know it's a catfish. After a while, it stop. You pull the pole up and your worm is gone. You bait it back up again, throw it back in the water, as soon as it hit the water. Like that. You sitting there, you waiting. After a while, you put it up, bait gone, and nibbled you to death. I say, you do that several times, this is your time. After a while, you get frustrated, you get tired. You look at you mad at the fish right. that you can't see.
Right.
But you just know that it's a catfish and you got this big hook, but you got a tackle box sitting next to you. You understand? After a while, you're tired, and you say, you mad at the fish. I say, till you find out that you sit back and make an adjustment with your hook. You understand? You got a smaller hook in there.
Yep.
They're biting, but you already got your mind made when you left home. It's a catfish and you're going to catch it. So just like you do with the kids, you come here and you assess them the way you want to instead of who they are.
That's right. Wrong hook.
Wrong hook. You got a cat you waiting for, you fishing for catfish in a bluegill pond. They mouth this big. They nibbling you to death and you mad at them. So it was nothing but assessment.
Know what you're fishing for. You know, we were talking with Dr. Merritt, and I learned a new phrase. I'm 72 years old, and I'm still learning trauma-informed awareness.
That's right. That's right.
You know, and understanding of what they're facing.
That's right.
You know, and
it's the same thing.
No different. And I thought about it when she talked about it, and I thought, well, of course, because we used to study our players like crazy.
That's right.
You didn't coach this guy the same as this guy, or you kept an eye. Coach Bruce used to always tell us, have your head on a swivel.
That's right.
And find out what's going on in their lives.
Right.
And then have some compassion for them. Find out which hook they need.
That's right.
Right?
Everybody's different.
Everyone needs a different hook.
Yeah, and you got to teach everybody different. See, and that's the reason I said when I first opened up Ginn Academy, I say, they say, why you want? I said, because I want to make sure that every kid get what they need.
Yeah.
I say that they all can reach their full potential in life. In this system, you'll never know the spiritual gift that each kid has. We all have it.
Yep.
You understand? But if we don't understand each individual person, we'll miss their spiritual gift that God gave them. You know, and through an education, we have to make sure we have relationship.
Yep.
You got to get to know who you're teaching.
Right.
You know, I can't teach every kid the same. You can't. If you got 5 children in your home, you don't treat all them
different.
kids
That's right.
the same. How you gonna educate everybody the same? It don't work.
Yep.
It don't work.
And that's a tremendous lesson for our listeners. If you're going to build a team, you need to know it's a part of a whole bunch of different kind of folk.
Well,
and you have to treat them a little bit differently.
That's right.
Right? You know, and it's funny sometimes, you know, we would hear from the player, well, you treat so-and-so. Here's a great story for you. A little bit like your fishing story, but it's from my past.
Right.
So I'm a senior at Baldwin Wallace, and we had a kid running back named Sugar Bear, and Sugar Bear could play.
Right.
But Sugar Bear came from a different place than most of the other guys.
Right.
So you know my buddy Sums, right?
Yeah, Sums,
okay.
yeah.
So some of the guys come up to Sums and I and said, hey, you guys are the captains. Sugar Bear, you know, was late, and Sugar Bear missed this. And you need to go tell the coaches that isn't right, that Sugar Bear doesn't have to do it like everyone else. And so, well, when they said go to the coaches, I'm going to see my dad. And I know how my dad thinks. So I said to Sums, you do the talking. I'll go in there because the fella's elected as captain. I'll go. But you do the talking. So we walk into my dad's little office. We had this little couch. He was sitting there. And so I said, go ahead, Sums. And he said, well, Coach Tressel, some of the guys are a little bit concerned that Sugar Bear has been, you know, not doing this or that. And then my dad just kind of looked up and he said, it's none of your business. And so we turned around. We both walked out. And all the guys said, did you tell him? We said, oh, yeah, we told him. But he told us it was none of our business because he knew
That's right.
that Sugar Bear probably had some trauma-informed things. We didn't know.
That's right.
We just were worried about us. How come I had to do this? Or I didn't have some of those issues. And I didn't even know that he knew, but a good coach, a good teacher, a good parent, a good leader
Gonna know it.
will know the difference of which hook they need.
That's right.
Right, for which fish.
That's right.
So let's talk about some of your, I mean, you've had some guys.
Oh, my God.
Right? And we were blessed to have a lot of them. Every guy was a different kind of teammate.
Absolutely.
Okay? So let me start with the one that maybe you and I spent the most time working on. Who was that?
Troy Smith.
Troy Smith. Oh, what a shock.
Troy Smith.
So now Troy, I'll never forget when he was coming out of Glenville. Justin Zwick had come as a freshman quarterback. We felt like we needed more than one in that class.
Yeah.
But someone had to do something unselfish because there's only one ball and there's only so many practice reps, right?
Right.
And I remember talking to you saying, do you think Troy would consider coming as an athlete and maybe the first year not play quarterback?
That's right.
And you said, I don't think he'd be interested in that, but that's what he needs.
Yeah. And that's what you're going to do.
And to this day, if anyone asks me about Troy Smith, I'll say I've always felt that most important trait for building any team is selflessness.
Right.
Even if it's something you don't want to do.
That's right.
Right? A little bit like Cardell didn't want to go to prep school.
That's right.
Right?
Oh, man, I forgot about that.
Yeah, right. We sent him to prep school.
That's right.
But he was willing. Whether it's Cardell was willing.
Right.
Troy was willing. But it didn't make life easy forever.
No.
Right?
Right.
We always use the word, sometimes we use the word manage or coach or whatever. Right. But building a team takes a lot of time and effort and getting everybody involved. And I remember our Wednesday calls, right?
Oh, yeah. Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday.
Yeah, we had to talk about Troy. And you know, we had to teach him.
Yep.
You know, the willingness to stay in your position.
Yep.
To be part of the team, you know.
And get him to believe how good he could be.
Yes.
It took him a little while to figure out, hey, you know what? I can be pretty good.
Right.
You know, and he was interesting. I remember we used to, again, going back to your figuring out which hook to use with which fish, we tried everything we could do to learn about our kids and what they needed. And one of the things we did was we had these behavioral analysis things. And one of the things with Troy's on his was he didn't necessarily have an innate need for information. He just wanted to play.
Yeah.
It wasn't natural for him to desire information until he realized what that information would do for him.
Right.
And I remember when Coach Bowman had his heart attack, couldn't come to work.
Yes.
Remember that?
I remember that.
Troy went every day because that's Troy's heart is this big.
That's right.
Right?
No, he loves hard.
You know, and so he went and saw Coach Bowman every day for like 6 weeks, and Coach Bowman wasn't going to talk about politics. He wasn't going to talk about music. He was going to turn the projector on and talk about blocking and plays. And I think once Troy realized that, hey, having information, you mean if I know?
That's right.
Oh,
I remember that.
Remember that?
Yes.
It was like
the light went on. He
Right.
got to know all that.
and he knew all that. And he could pick them apart.
That's right.
And then he went and he was good when he was middle-aged.
Yeah.
But that last year, that Heisman Trophy year, he was glued in.
That's right.
Because he had decided, well, I don't know that I love this, but I can see how important it is. And boy, can I help the team.
That's right.
If I can do that.
That's right.
But
I remember that. Yes.
yeah, and
That turned the light on
Oh,
when Bowman went to
yeah.
the hospital.
And you know, the funny part of it is Troy's strength was his heart and how he loved people.
That's right.
And he just loved Coach Bowman. If you'd have told him, hey, why don't you go to Coach Bowman's office and watch film every day for 6 weeks, he'd have been like, I'll go to the weight room or I'll go out and throw.
Yeah.
But when you say, hey, this would be great for Coach Bowman because he's sitting at home and he can't come to work and he just had a quadruple bypass or whatever. Yeah. And so every kid's different. Tell us about one of the recognizable kids, whether it's Pierre or Woods or Dante Whitner or Ted Jr. or whatever. Give us a story of how you had to figure out what hook they needed.
Oh, my God. It's several. Troy was one.
Yep.
Dante was one, too. Dante was a kid that was so smart.
Yeah, he was.
You know, he was so intelligent.
And he loved information.
Yeah, he loved information. Yeah. But you had to use a certain hook with him, too, because, you know, I could tell Dante, and I can remember even back with Mel. I said, you got to watch him. You know, he wouldn't stay down in his stand. Mm-hmm. I said, if you don't stay down in his stand, he'll tell on the next guy, but he'll do just the opposite of what you tell him. But Dante was so smart, man, that you had to be ahead of him.
You had to challenge him.
You had to challenge him.
Yeah, true.
You know what I'm saying?
He knew how good he wanted to be.
Yeah, he knew, and he wanted to be good.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a different hook for him. Troy was who he was.
Let me go back to Dante for a minute, because I'll tell you what amazed me. So Dante was no nonsense. Dante didn't waste time smiling.
No.
He didn't burn any calories smiling, right? He knew where he was going, and he was leaving Ohio State in 3 years, and he was going to be a top choice in the NFL.
Right.
And he was going to do everything it took to get there.
That's right.
And he wanted to know from you, what else do I need to do?
Right.
So he opts out of his senior year, and he's getting ready for his visits with the NFL GMs and all, because he's going to be a first rounder. It was just a matter of, was he going to be number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? He was going to be
in top 10.
Top 10. And I'll never forget, as each of those teams came in to visit with him, or they flew him there,
right?
Dante had a set of notebooks, and he had how he prepared for each of our games, and then he also had things that he studied from whatever team that was he was going. He was no nonsense.
That's no nonsense.
And he didn't want to go and have dinner in some city and worry about that. He wanted to go and talk about football.
Yeah, and he had a picture of the head coach, the assistant coaches.
He knew how to go for a job interview.
Yeah, he did.
And remember the morning of the draft when they called his number. Who was it? Buffalo?
Buffalo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was like, what was he, the 5th pick or the 8th pick? Eighth. So it was like pick 3, 4, 5 right in there. And I get a call at my house from the Bills, and they said, hey, we can't get a hold of Dante, and we want to take him pick 8, but we just want to talk with him. And I said, well, I probably got the same cell number you have. And is it such and such? And they said, yeah, he's not picking up. I said, well, look, I can find Dante. So I called you,
Yeah, that's right.
and I don't know what number you had or whatever, but within the next 5 minutes, the Bills called me back, and they said, Coach Ginn hooked us up with Dante, and we're taking him in pick number 8.
That's right.
And I was like, oh, my gosh. But he had a different hook.
Right.
His desire to be great
Right.
was amazing.
But I'm gonna tell you one that was different that we didn't mention, and I never forget. You said I learned something from that, and we both learned something from that. Was Superman?
Oh, yeah. Soup.
You know.
Yep.
That was a hook that we didn't.
We didn't find the right hook.
Didn't find the right hook, and I remember you telling me they said, I will never ever again know that I got a kid that is talented in him as a freshman. And see, because he was a kid that knew he was better than everybody that was in front of him. But you were still trying to build your team. You had some older guys that needed to be on the field. And these were a lot of young guys. And you couldn't play him.
Yeah.
But that right there killed him.
It did.
You know what I'm
The
saying?
only hook he wanted, the only confidence thing he had at that moment in his life was how well he played football.
That's right.
And we were thinking about that whole person and being at class and
yes.
doing in the weight room.
Yeah.
He didn't, those hooks he wasn't going to bite.
If you'd have got him on the field,
Yeah, no, I hear you.
you'd have won
Right.
him later on.
He would have bit the other hooks.
That's right. That's exactly
and
right.
sometimes you get so ingrained as a leader with, oh, hey, this is the way we do it.
Yeah.
You got to do this, this, and this.
You got to make adjustments.
Sometimes every employee, every family member, every
right.
whatever is different.
That's right.
They have a different hook.
That's right.
There's no doubt. Well, let's talk about young Ted,
Right.
okay? Because, as all of you viewers know, Ted Ginn Jr. was, 14 years in the NFL, 16, whatever it was.
14.
Number 1 player coming out of Glenville in the country.
Track and football.
Track and football, number 1 in the country.
1, yeah.
I mean, just Olympics was being discussed. NFL first-round pick was the sky was the limit.
Absolutely.
Now, his hooks, here's what I'm going to tell you what I think his hook was.
Okay.
And you tell me if I was wrong.
Okay.
He just wanted to know you loved him.
That's it. That's it.
It's all he needed to know.
Yeah.
And you couldn't just tell him that. You had to show him that.
That's right.
And if he knew you loved him,
You're going to do everything.
everything, whether he liked it or not.
That's right.
Right? I mean, I'm sure he didn't love all them study halls we sent people to and all the tutors and the weight room and the.
Right.
But if you showed that you loved him, he said, "Oh, I'll do whatever you want."
That's right.
And he was. Remember the first preseason, he was playing corner. Remember?
Yeah.
He wanted to be Dion. He wanted to be a lockdown corner. It's okay. And our rule with our freshmen was, whatever you want to play.
Right.
You know. And a little bit like Gonzo. When Gonzo came, he was going to be a strong safety.
Right.
And I remember Gonzo, after about X number of weeks or whatever, came in my office in his professorial way. Coach, I think I'm a little more suited for offense.
Right.
And I said, okay.
No, I'm going to tell you what happened with Ted.
Okay. So we get through preseason. He's still playing corner.
Right.
Right? So what's your recollection?
That hoot and holler.
Oh! Blocking on hoot and holler?
Yeah, man. I was out there that day, the first day hoot and holler. Trey, you looked at me like, I don't know if he can be all right at that corner.
Right.
And then you said that day, I'm going to take that speed still of backpedaling with it. I'm going to see can I go forward with it.
Right.
But hoot and holler was my first indication
right?
that he wasn't going to be no corner because he wasn't tackling nobody.
I guess I didn't think about the hoot and holler as much as I thought every time he touched the ball, whether it was a punt return, a kick return, or a pick in a drill in practice, I thought, why wouldn't we have him touching the ball more often? This is crazy. And then I remember the first week we're getting ready for opening game. And you know how preseason is. You put all this stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start game one and you start working things. And well, we had all these formations and all this and that. I remember Coach Hazel saying, you know, I don't know how much Ted can play in the first game because I'm not sure he knows all the formations yet. You know, we had 29 days of practice with formations. And I said, Coach Hazel, who do you think will give us the best chance to beat Michigan in the 12th game? He said, Ted's a difference maker. I said, okay, he needs to play in the first game if he's going to be that good in the 12th game.
Right.
And it all went up. But he had a desire to please.
That's it.
He wanted to please Mom. He wanted to please Dad. He wanted to please his high school teachers.
Yes.
He wanted to please his Coach Hazel. You know, he wanted to please people, especially the ones that loved him dearly. He didn't want to let them down.
That's right.
I mean, that was important.
I think the other thing that, you know, when Ted retired from the NFL, you know, just me as his father, who will go 20-something years to be the example for hope from a community? He sacrificed his life for that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Well, and now you can tell, because I remember seeing him at one of your games here within the last, I don't remember seeing him at that real cold game. Was he there?
No.
Was he at the over
State.
at Clyde?
No, he wasn't.
No, I was going to say, I didn't see
Yeah.
him there. I couldn't tell who anyone was because it was 10 degrees and we all had hoods on and so forth. But I remember seeing him at one of your games, and all he talked about was he said, I got all these kids. 8 to 14 years old. Right. And he said, my goal, I'll never forget it. He said, my goal in the class of, I forget what he said, 2028 is to have 20 guys sign at Ohio State. I said, Ted, they probably only have 20 scholarships. I know, but I got, my dream is for all 20 of these guys, you know, because I want them to have those opportunities.
And that experience.
And that's, you know, he loves people.
Yeah.
He loves to be loved, and he loves to love others.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to let you off the hook until we talk about today's world, college football.
Yep.
I'm not sure I would be as effective as a coach today as I would like to be, because so much time and effort seems to be put into portal, NIL, all that kind of thing. I've said to a lot of my coaching peers, if you think building team was important back in the day, it's even more important now.
That's right. And it's harder.
Mm-hmm. And so do you see a difference in high school, and what differences do you see in college? Because you have all these college coaches coming in.
In high school, you know, I think what I see is, I don't know if I should say the selfishness of it, you know, because of it's so many people that's analyzing children, you know, where back when you was there and, you know, myself, they only heard one voice.
Yeah.
They only believed in the concept that you had. It's so many voices, and everybody's want right now. It's right now.
Yeah.
And the kids really don't understand in today's time. I don't have an example to show them.
Yeah, right.
You know,
because it's so new.
It's so new.
Yeah,
Everything is new, and then the problem of it is, how do we come up with young people that they know the answer when you haven't did anything?
Yeah.
And then, you know, I'm like an old dinosaur faking it. You know what I'm saying? Because I can say, well, do you know Jim Tressel? No.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you could come back and say, well, I know Woody Hayes, I know my father. They don't have that.
Yeah.
It's everything is always, they don't nothing stick.
Right.
It's like right now.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to build team.
Yep.
And it's so hard to manage all these different things today. You got to manage their life. You know, we could sit here and we just talked about a couple of kids and how we managed them. We gave them the right hook. I don't know where the right hook now.
Yeah.
You know, because if you get a hook, they say that hook not right.
Yeah.
You don't need that.
Yeah.
We dealing with an opt-out generation.
Yeah.
You know, they opt out of everything. Well, you don't have to run the 40. You don't have to do this no more. You just got to catch a touchdown.
Don't play the bowl game.
Yeah, you don't play the
whatever.
bowl game.
Yeah, right.
You don't have to go to class.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
I know.
You know, it's tough.
And we're cheating them.
You cheat, yeah.
Which is what concerns me. But ancient history to them is last week's Sports Center.
That's it.
It ain't Woody Hayes.
No.
They don't know anything about Woody Hayes.
No, don't know nothing.
But a week ago, if it's 3 weeks ago, they might not know.
That's right.
I mean, it is. And one thing we always say is that people need to know history. They need to know what's going on today, and they need to know the decisions I make right now. How are they going to affect me down the road? But
We
the
don't think about
decisions
it.
are so
No.
penny wise and dollar foolish in some ways. But I don't know if we can solve that one on this episode. So I'm going to ask you one more question. So you've had to put together staffs with not a big payroll, hard work conditions, crazy hours, things that someone wouldn't normally have to do if they were teaching or coaching. How did you figure out, and I know our viewers ask this question all the time when they send us comments and whatnot, how do you figure out who is the best fit on your team, your staff?
As a staff, from their heart. You know, Tress, being a leader of children is dangerous. And when I sit down with people that want to come and coach here, I don't care about don't bring me no script. Don't bring me
No
your
X's and O's.
fundamentals and your philosophy, because I have it. See, I have my offense, I have my defense, I have all that. I don't need that. I want to know what's in your heart.
Yeah.
And what's in your heart for children. Now, you can come here if you want to, but it's a dangerous business because we are in charge of God's children.
Yeah.
And if your heart not in this, and Tress, you know this, you understand? God is it's a judgment day for that. And so when I talk to people that come here, I don't need you to come here to tell me, you know, the 3 technique to do this and that and whatever. I don't care. We're gonna run Dave. That's what it's gonna be. You understand? Right. And that's it. You know, so I don't want to talk about football. I want to talk about what your love you have for the children.
Yeah. And
to make sure that we can transition these kids through life. You understand? And understand that it's God's children. See, Tress, I already done. You know, the test come before the lesson. You understand?
Yeah.
In this game, you know,
Yeah.
I tell children, I tell coaches, when you go to the classroom, they teach the lesson first, and then they give you the test. In this spiritual game here at Glenville, you get the test first, and then you learn the lesson.
That's right.
You understand?
Yep.
If you come here, you are putting your family at risk. You're putting me at risk if you're not true. See, God already laid me down. You know what I'm saying? Because I thought I had some people around my children that I thought I could change. That's like any foolish leader that really believed that they could change everybody. But when you're dealing with God's kids, you can't do that. If you know somebody's heart is not right in this business of coaching,
right,
you better get rid of them.
That's right. Well, and I get asked that question a lot too. Staff, you know, how did you pick your staff? And in 25 years of coaching, I only had to let one coach go, and it was hard. It was after 4 or 5 years of really trying to
change him,
you know, get him to where we needed to go. And the good news is he's doing great things right now. So the lesson did get learned.
Yeah.
But we always chose who we wanted around our kids to be the right kind of people. They'll learn the business.
Yeah, that is.
But we need the right kind of people. And that's where you've been blessed. You've had good judgment. Not 100%, I'm sure. You've had, I'm sure, some people come like, "Ooh, I don't.
Yeah.
I'd rather get on the chalkboard than arm around them."
I don't need that.
You don't need that, right? But It's the challenge. And I would say to all the viewers and listeners, you know, I tell the young coaches all the time, it's not where you coach, it's with whom. And the same with picking your own staff. It's not what, you know, letters they have next to their name or what hype they may have. It's what kind of people do you want as part of your team. And that's what it's all about.
That's right.
We could go for 9 hours, but we won't. You know I love you.
Love
you
you
know
too.
you've changed my life in many, many ways.
Absolutely. Changed mine too.
And,
You left
you know,
me by myself, man.
Well, you know.
You had to go.
Had to go. 48 years was enough.
Yeah.
As soon as you get to 48, I'll let you go.
Okay, I'm close.
You getting close?
Yeah, I'm about 45.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, love you, man.
Love you too.
Appreciate you, and we're going to do this again.
Absolutely.
Until the next time, remember, it's all about the team.